Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we'll be reading the story, The Battle of Red Mountain, an event that changed Tamriel forever, and still leaves us with so many questions unanswered. Please, enjoy. The following is a transcript of the words of Lord Vivek, addressed to a dissident priest, Mala Amayan, who confronted Vivek with the Ashlanders' traditions surrounding the Battle of Red Mountain and with prophecies of the Narration, and to unnamed magistrates of the Inquisition who joined Vivek in interrogating the dissident priest. Who can clearly recall the events of the distant past? But you have asked me to tell you, in my own words, the events surrounding the Battle of Red Mountain, the birth of the Tribunal, and the prophecies of Niravar reborn. Here is what I can tell you. When the Chimer first abandoned the herds and tents of their nomadic ancestors and built the first great houses, we loved the Daedra and worshipped them as gods. But our brethren, the Dwemer, scorned the Daedra and mocked our foolish rituals and preferred instead their gods of reason and logic. So the Chimer and Dwemer were always at bitter war until the Nords came and invaded Resdain. Only then did the Chimer and Dwemer put aside their strife and join together to cast out the invaders. Once the Nords were driven out, General Niravar of the Chimer and General Dumak of the Dwemer, who had come to love and respect one another, resolved to make peace between their peoples. In that time, I was but a junior counsellor to Niravar, and Niravar's queen, Alma Alexa, and his favourite counsellor, Sotha Sil, always doubted that such a peace might long survive, given the bitter disputes between the Chimer and Dwemer. But by negotiation and compromise, Niravar and Dumak somehow managed to preserve a fragile peace. But when Dagoth Lord of House Dagoth, and trusted friend by both Niravar and the Dwemer, brought us proof that High Engineer Kagranek of the Dwemer had discovered the heart of Lorcan, and with that, he had learned how to tap its powers, and was building a new god. A mockery of Chimer faith and fearsome weapon. We all urged Niravar to make war upon the dwarfs and destroy this threat to Chimer beliefs and security. Niravar was troubled. He went to Dumak and asked if what Dagoth said was true. But Kagranek took great offence and asked whom Niravar thought he was, that he might presume to judge the affairs of the Dwemer. Niravar was further troubled and made a pilgrimage to Holomayan, the sacred temple of Azura, and Azura confirmed that all that Dagoth said was indeed true, and that the creation of a new god of the Dwemer should be prevented at all costs. When Niravar came back and told us what the goddess had said, we felt our judgments confirmed, and again counselled him to war, chiding Niravar for his naive trust in friendship and reminding Niravar of his duty to protect the faith and security of the Chimer against the dangerous ambitions of the Dwemer. Then, Niravar went back to Vardenfell one last time, hoping that his negotiations and compromise might once again preserve the peace. But this time, the friends Niravar and Dumak quarrelled bitterly, and as a result, the Chimer and Dwemer went to war. The Dwemer were well defended by their fortress at Red Mountain, but Niravar's cunning drew most of Dumak's armies out into the field and pinned them there, while Niravar, Dagoth and a small group of companions could make their way into the Heart Chamber by secret means. There, Niravar, the Chimer King, met Dumak, the Dwarf King, and they both collapsed on grievous wounds and draining magics. With Dumak fallen, and threatened by Dagoth and others, Kagranek turned his tools upon the heart. Nerevar said that he saw Kagranek and all his Dwemer companions at once disappear from the world. In that instant, Dwemer everywhere disappeared without a trace. But Kagranek's tools remained, and Dagoth seized them, and he carried them to Nerevar, saying, "That fool Kagranek has destroyed his own people with these things. We should destroy them right away, lest they fall into the wrong hands." But Nerevar was resolved to confer with his queen and generals, who had foreseen that this war would come, and whose counsel he would not ignore again. "I will ask the tribunal what we shall do with them, for they have had wisdom in the past that I had not. Stay here, loyal Dagoth until I return." So Nerevar told Dagoth to protect the tools and the heart chamber until he returned. Then Nerevar was carried to us, where we waited on the slopes of Red Mountain, and he told us all that had transpired under Red Mountain. What Nerevar had said was that the Dwemer had used special tools to turn their people into immortals, and that the heart of Lorcan held wondrous powers. Only later did we hear from others present that Dagoth had thought the Dwemer destroyed, not made immortal, and no one knows for sure what really happened there. After hearing Nerevar, we gave our counsel as he requested, proposing we should preserve the tools in trust for the welfare of the Chimer people, and who knows, perhaps the Dwemer are not gone forever, but merely transported to some distant realm from which they may someday return to threaten our security once again. Therefore, we need to keep these tools, to study them and their principles, so that we may be safe in future generations. And though Nerevar voiced his grave misgivings, he was willing to be ruled by our council, under one condition: that we, all together, should swear a solemn oath upon Azura that the tools would never be used in the profane manner that the Dwemer had intended. We all readily agreed, and swore solemn oaths at Nerevar's dictation. So then, we went with Nerevar back into Red Mountain and met with Dagoth Dagoth refused to deliver the tools to us, saying they were dangerous, and that we could not touch them. Dagoth seemed to be irrational, insisting that only he could be trusted with the tools. And then we guessed that he had somehow been affected by his handling of the tools. But now, I feel sure that he had privately learned the powers of the tools, and had in some confused way decided that he must have them for himself. Then Nerevar and our guard resorted to force to secure the tools. Somehow, Dagoth and his retainers escaped, but we gained the tools and delivered them to Sotha Sil for study and safekeeping. For some years, we kept the oaths we swore to Azura with Nerevar, but during that time, in secret, Sotha Sil must have studied the tools and divined their mysteries. And at last he came to us with a vision of a new world of peace, with justice and honour for nobles, and health and prosperity for the commoners, with a tribunal as immortal patrons and guides. And dedicating ourselves to this vision of a better world, we made a pilgrimage to Red Mountain and transformed ourselves with the power of Kagranek's tools. No sooner had we completed our rituals and begun to discover our newfound powers, the Daedra Lord Azura appeared and cursed us for our forsworn oaths. By her powers of prophecy, she assured us that her champion, Nerevar, true to his oath, would return to punish us for our perfidy. and to make sure such profane knowledge might never again be used to mock and defy the will of the gods. But Sothersil said to her, "The old gods are cruel and arbitrary and distant from the hopes and fears of Mer. Your age is past. We are the new gods, born of the flesh, and wise and caring to the needs of our people. Spare us your threats of chiding inconstant spirits. We are bold and fresh, and will not fear you." And then, in that moment, all Chimer changed into Dunmer, and our skins turned ashen, and our eyes into fire. But Azura said, "This is not my act, but your act. You have chosen your fate and the fate of your people, and all the Dunmer shall share your fate from now until the end of time. You think yourselves God, but you are blind, and all is darkness." And Azura left us alone, in darkness, and we were all afraid. But we put on brave faces and went forth from Red Mountain to build the new world of our dreams. And the new world we shaped was glorious and generous, and the worship of the Dunmer fervent and grateful. The Dunmer were at first afraid of their new faces, but Sotha spoke to them, saying that it was not a curse, but a blessing, a sign of their changed natures, a sign of their special favour they might enjoy as new Mer, no longer barbarians trembling before ghosts and spirits, but civilized Mer, speaking directly to their immortal friends and patrons, the three faces of the tribunal. And we were all inspired by Sothersil's speech and vision, and took heart. And over time, we crafted the customs and institutions of a just and honourable society. And the land of Resdain knew a millennia of peace, equity, and prosperity, unknown to other savage races. But beneath Red Mountain, Dagoth had survived. And even as the light of our bold new world shined ever more brightly, beneath Red Mountain, the darkness gathered. A darkness that was close kin to the bright light that Sothersil coaxed from the heart of Lorcan with the tools of Kagranek. As the darkness grew, we fought it and crafted walls to confine it. But we could never destroy it, for the source of the darkness was the same source as that of our own divine inspiration. And in these latter days of Morrowind, reduced to a subjugated province of the Western Empire, as the glory of the temple fades and the dark tide rises from Red Mountain, we are reminded of Azura and her promised champion's return. We have waited, blind and in darkness, mere shadows drained of our ardent vision, in shame of our folly, in fear of our judgments, and in hope of our deliverance. We do not know if the Outlander claiming to fulfill the prophecies of Niravarine is our old champion Niravar Reborn, or a pawn of the Emperor, or a cat's paw of Azura, or some simple twist of fate. But we insist you adhere to temple doctrine and conform to the strictures dividing Hierographa from the Apographa, and that you do not speak that which must not be spoken openly. Act as a dutiful priest should, in accordance to your vows of obedience to the canons and arcanons, and all will be forgiven. Defy me, and you will know what it is to stand against a god. Vivek.